All right, so talk to me about this bounce back. How are you viewing this bounce back and the sell-off on Friday? Was Friday proof that the market was priced to perfection and that it was priced to have no more issues, even though there were a lot of things on the quote-unquote wall of worry or overhangs, and obviously U.S.-China trade tensions were one of them?
Yeah, what China is doing right now is showing investors that they're still around and haven't really decided what they're going to do right now. So when I talk to my clients over the weekend, they're really concerned with, are we going back to March and April and the doldrums that happened after Liberation Day? And that's what's really concerning everyone, especially when you got smart guys like Andrew Ross Sorkin on 60 Minutes last night talking about there could possibly be one of the biggest bubbles in American history that's forming with AI and the tech trade. Clients are wondering, where is this black swan event going to come from? It could be China.
All right. So, by the way, that's your word of the day for us today. It is China. Do you see opportunities in China as well with the pullback? Chinese companies, they pull back even sharply or sharper than U.S. equities did.
Listen, China is one of our major trading partners, and you've got to be invested in that country to have a diversified portfolio. So for those who don't have any exposure to China, I'd highly recommend looking at it and start dollar cost averaging in the country because of the growth and the sheer population and demand that they've shown time and time again over the last 2 decades. So you have to have some exposure there.
So you said clients called you and asked if it was a black swan event. It seems like you're answering with your pick. Your pick for us today is gold. So it seems like you're concerned about the global economy, you're concerned about inflation, you're concerned about a stock pullback, and you seem to be very bullish on the safe haven. In all fairness, you've been bullish on it for quite a while.
Frank, I'm a risk manager, and we've taken a tremendous amount of risk going into the AI trade and tech over the last 3 years. You've seen unprecedented returns. And so gold over the last year up 50% is a great place to go to hedge against anything that might happen, not only internationally, but what's going on here domestically with our deficits and the government being shut down for over a week now.
So when you're investing in gold, are you reducing your exposure to other sectors or other areas? Are you still investing in the AI trade? If it's your pick, but I don't think you're saying that's the only thing that people should be investing in.
Listen, typically, if we didn't have the China backdrop and deficits, I would say fixed income is a great place to hang out. But clients aren't making any money there right now, and they haven't made any money in fixed income for over the last 4 years. So gold is, I think, one of those diversifiers that clients are looking for to de-risk portfolios, and they've had a tremendous amount of upside over the last 4 years.
All right, speaking of risk, we were just hitting on our pick earlier from Jeff Kilberg. It was IBM on the idea of quantum computing being a big tailwind for that stock. When you look at some of the quantum stocks, month to date, they're up double digits pretty much across the board. Even the ETF, the QTUM, something that we've seen as a pick here on Worldwide Exchange, outperforming the market. If you're looking at an environment where maybe investors should take some risk off the table, why are these stocks surging so much?
Everyone is looking for, doubling their returns. And so quantum is a great place to see, potential growth to that degree. But if you go back to March and April from the doldrums, quantum stocks weren't doing all that well, and not a lot was. You saw that communication services, gold, and utilities did really well if this China fiasco goes on any longer past November 1st.
All right, what about the AI trade? Even Dan Ives from Wedbush, one of the biggest bulls out there, saying that if we see an escalation, that could at least put a speed bump in front of the train that is what he calls the fourth industrial AI revolution.
Listen, China really is going to determine what happens also with AI because AI works with chips, right? And we see companies in all the sectors like SMH strongly dependent on these minerals that are coming out of China. So if we don't get this right, you're going to see the AI trade, quantum, everything else, like we saw back in March, possibly revisit those lows. So we really have to be concerned and mitigate risk when you're looking at these portfolios. Make sure you diversify.
So one thing you haven't mentioned is those rare earth companies like an Albemarle. Are you seeing opportunities there? I've never really heard you talk about the materials sector before, but at this time, with the government investing in those companies and some of the battle between U.S. and China over those rare earths and some of those critical minerals, is this the time to invest in those?
If you can get a rare earth company that is going outside of China, specifically with all this rhetoric going up, I think it makes a lot of sense to diversify and be in that space.
Mark, we got to stop here. We're going to turn to a live look at Jerusalem right now. We're seeing President Trump walk into the Israeli legislature right now, called the Knesset. The president speaking here after the release of all living hostages from Hamas back to Israel. Right now, you're seeing lawmakers there in Israel standing up and applauding the president, again, who is going to speak to the Israeli legislature in just a short time. Right now, we're seeing some of the pomp and circumstances with the American president's arrival. Again, all the legislatures right now standing up, a standing ovation. Right now, we're also seeing Ivanka Trump there with him as well. We're waiting for the president to make some comments again right now in Jerusalem. Right now, we're seeing Benjamin Netanyahu also shaking hands with some other legislators there in Israel again at the Knesset, Israel's legislature right now. The president expected to speak just a short time ago. We mentioned earlier the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange outperforming over the last 2 years during the war. We just had an analyst say he expects that outperformance to continue. Certainly a very happy day in Israel right now with the release of all living hostages from Hamas. The president expected to speak not only about the release of those prisoners, but the path forward through phase one that's pretty much been achieved right now. The president also, of course, over the weekend, the Israeli president standing next to Trump right now. And again, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, they're standing with other legislatures, again, shaking hands with legislators just a short time ago. The president right now, again, in the Middle East right now, visiting Israel, later on expected to visit Egypt to continue to talk about his Middle East peace plan. And we're waiting for the president to make some remarks in just a short time from now. Again, standing applause for the president right now as we wait for those remarks, not only about the phase one of the peace plan, but also the path forward expected. His daughter, again, Ivanka Trump, standing right there, joining him on this trip to the Middle East, where the president's going to visit Israel first. Right now, standing in the Israeli legislature, expected to go on to Egypt. And we're starting to see the applause slow down just a bit. The president, again, showing Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, the president expected to speak in just a short time. Again, right now, talking to the Israeli president right now. And we're going to take a live look as we see the president take a seat and some of these proceedings. Mark, we're going to come back to you while we wait for the president to talk right now. I do want to talk to you about international markets. We mentioned the Israeli stock exchange outperforming the U.S. even times of war. What other global markets are you seeing big opportunities in?
Europe right now is looking very interesting. You're saying that they had a nice pickup over the weekend, and I think that that could continue, especially if escalation between China and the U.S. continues. Europe could be looked upon as a safe haven that's not really in the eyes of China, and could be a great place to start diversifying in. And historically, you're seeing U.S. investors dramatically underweight European stock and international altogether. So I think it could be somewhere that there'd be opportunity there.
Europe
for
is
sure.
a safe haven. Now you got to explain that one to me. I mean, we've seen so much political tension in France that seems to impact the entire continent.
Well, listen. If you're coming out of the U.S. and you're having trade wars, I think there could be an opportunity for a small correction. Europe would not be in the thralls of that, and so there could be an opportunity for investors to invest in Europe because of the fact that they're not in the middle of a huge trade war with one of the largest trading partners in the world, China. So that's where I think that you might be able to see some opportunity there.